children are running our world. And I'm like, that's funny. What do you mean children running our world? I said, think about it. He goes, most of our key memories and the things we learn on who we are and what we are happen between ages 1 and 5 or 1 and 6, can't remember what she said. And then like the other 30 or 40% happens from age 6 to 18. And then we get about 10% from 18 to about 21, 22, 23, around there. But after that, our whole life and everything, who you are, how we do what we do, why we do what we do, how we learn, how we speak, how we treat others, how we love, how our passions show up, all that happens, everything we've already learned. All right, welcome to the Massive Passive Income Show.
I'm Coulter.
And I'm Jason, and we're excited to be here.
Yes, we are. We're going to dive into an event that recently happened.
Yes.
And you know what? I think it's awesome to be able to attend events all around real estate and be able to connect and network, whether it's, how to raise money or how to, focus on mindset or how to create value in real estate and education. Man, I can't get enough of the power that so many people have and what they can create. And so, Jason, you got to dive into some detail.
Yeah.
Like, what did you learn this last week? And what can we share with our audience?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that, and thank you. I think events for me, like you said, there's so much creativity in the area of events that it like gets your creative juices flowing like crazy. Like I went to an event about a year ago, and I don't remember half of what they said, but I sat in front of my iPad and I typed out 3 different, like almost 20 pages of content of things that I was just. And I don't even know why. I don't type ever. You ask my wife, she says that I type something, she goes, yeah, my husband doesn't type at all. And I just went through, I couldn't stop. Everything I was doing, I was taking notes, and I was typing. By the time I was done, in fact, somebody was there like, dude, you were in a zone. I'm like, I know, and I feel bad because I didn't hear about half of what everybody said. But just by listening, and when I'd pause and sit there and think about it for a second, what I was doing, whatever they're saying would give me another thought, give me an idea, and man, I'd jump in and start typing again. And so I love them. I really believe that events can change your life. I really do. And I think even if you only learn one thing at that event, that one thing could change your life in a big way. And I'm not taking change your life like 100%, but something life-changing happens when you go to events. Mm-hmm. So I try not to miss them. I try to go to as many as I can. I go to probably 5-6 workshops a year, and maybe they're even teaching something I already know, but man, I don't know it all. And I could pick up little things from those people.
Well, transformation comes 1 degree at a time, right? It takes one small change at a time for us to be able to make a transformation. So
I love that. That's a great way to talk about it.
Yeah, just whatever you learn, if you can apply just a little bit, you will change just that little bit to improve toward the self that you want to be.
Yeah, you're a pilot. What does 1 degree change? What does that do for you?
Oh, it can be hundreds of miles over, if you're looking at destinations, you look at the 360 globe, you could end up in a very different place than what you want.
Just by 1 click, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we're not talking huge. Just, if we can just help you change 1 click, that'll make a big difference in your life. Just one thing. So one of the speakers that they talked, his name was Troy Dunn. And Troy Dunn's a pretty nationally acclaimed guy. He's written a whole bunch of books. He's been on Oprah. He had a show on cable where he aligns families, like an adoptive kid with their parents. He had that real popular cable show where he'd bring families together again, and he did it all through sponsorships and ran the whole show that way. And he did that for a couple seasons. Then he started making money with the show, and then the show was canceled. But they just hooked it up. He's going to be back on cable again. I can't remember which. I think it may be Hulu is picking it up. So he's going to start, he's in production right now. But he was our keynote speaker. And so the couple of the speakers, so one of the speakers talked about being internal and not external. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And then the next speaker that came along talked about how do you define being internal and external? And then Troy Dunn brought it home. And it was funny, as I talked to the guy who did all the speakers, I said, did you tell them what to speak on? He said, nope, I didn't tell them a thing. He said, I told him whatever you think you should talk about, you talk about. And I'm not kidding. It built and built, and then he just hit it out of the park for the last speaker of the day. I wish my wife could have been there. I wish my kids could have been there. I wish I could have recorded the whole thing. But luckily, they did record it, and hopefully we'll have access to it here in a little bit. But so internal, external. So the big thing I got out of that is when you live external, it's all about all the external influences helping you make a decision. And you think about all the different decisions or why you lash out on somebody, why you're mad, why you're upset. Usually it's an external thing that makes you do that. But if you look internal, like if you're okay with who you are and why you do what you do, 90% of the things that are external won't bother you at all. And I love that. When he said that at first, I'm like, wait a second, how does that resonate with me? And I think about all the different times where I've gotten really frustrated, gotten mad, maybe said something I should have, or got mad at somebody else, or did something that I knew I shouldn't have done. It was all for external, all external. But if I'd have been where I'm at, centered and good with who I am and what I believe and what I stand for, none of that external would have even mattered, because I'd be making the decisions, I'd be making the calls, not my external influences. And then what was awesome is Troy Dunn brought it in and said, children are running our world. And I'm like, that's funny. What do you mean children run our world? I said, think about it. He goes, most of our key memories and the things we learn on who we are and what we are happen between ages 1 and 5 or 1 and 6, can't remember what you said. And then like the other 30 or 40% happens from age 6 to 18. And then we get about 10% from 18 to about 21, 22, 23, around there. But after that, our whole life and everything, who you are, how we do what we do, why we do what we do, how we learn, how we speak, how we treat others, how we love, how our passions show up, all that happens, everything we've already learned. So the tough thing is when we react to something as we're an adult, we revert back to one of those children. Like we get mad at one of our kids for doing something. If we were being the adult in that conversation, we wouldn't be mad. Why would we be mad at that kid for doing? Because it's our 6-year-old that's coming out to fight, or our 9-year-old, man, our 9-year-old's ticked and he is upset with what's going on. And so what happens is the adult you're talking to also, her 12-year-old comes out or his 12-year-old comes out. Now you got a 9-year-old fighting with a 12-year-old. And if the 9-year-old, 12-year-old are fighting, nothing's getting accomplished. He said, think about it. How many of you had kids? When the 9-year-old and 12-year-old's fighting, what happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. But if you can channel your adults in you and react as an adult instead of letting that 14-year-old or the 6-year-old out, and man, they're ready to swing and they won't give up and they're right, they don't care about feelings because they don't have feelings for others yet, because it hasn't been developed yet. They don't have long-term consequences. They don't care what they say because they don't know what that's going to do to the other person. They have no empathy. They haven't learned all that yet. So they're talking as not an adult instead of like an adult. And here's what's funny. So I come home and my wife and I have a pretty good argument over something. I can't remember what it was. Her sister came to town and there was some other drama. So anyways, it kind of happens. But anyways, we kind of got into it. And finally, I'm like, my 9-year-old is so ticked off your 12-year-old and he doesn't even know what to do. And she looks at me like, what in the world are you talking about? And it opened up a beautiful conversation. And what was funny is as soon as I said that, now, and I've only been home from the conference since Saturday, and now it's Thursday. So about a week. It's amazing how many times she's brought up and I've brought up, am I talking to your 9-year-old or 10-year-old, or am I talking to Jason? And at first, you might think that might tick you off, but once you learn, then it's not your fault. It's the way we're raised, and it's the way that we've dealt with everything. We let our kids out because that's how we've learned to deal with whatever triggered you, that person, that other adult, and even if it wasn't their adult speaking, if it was their child speaking to you, man, it triggered something in that kid because something happened, a core memory or something happened, that kid's coming out swinging. Oh, you aren't going to call me that because somebody else called me that one time, and it's not going to happen today, and so your adult just steps aside. So he had some pictures on the wall, and he had a picture of an adult guy that was sitting there and an adult woman. And then they had 5 different children that were all around him, everywhere from 5-year-old up to 18-year-old. And the adult guy was sitting on the side of all the children, and the adult woman was sitting in the back with all the children in front. And he goes, now, just knowing how guys and girls work, he said, think about this. He said, who's front and center? It's that 6 and 9-year-old is right in the front. And then the teenager comes around the side, and then usually the adult child, like the 16 or 18-year-old, they're in the back. Same with the guy. And he goes, but what we need to do is get to this point where he took another picture, sent another picture with the adult in the middle, and then all the kids are around. He said, it's okay for the kids to come out because that's where we get our fun, that's where we get our creativity, that's where we get our silliness, that's where we get our giggling, that's why we laugh, our sense of humor, all that comes from a kid, and that's okay. But it's when that hurt child comes out swinging that you got to put in check and let the adult make the decision. And then he says, and then we want to get to there. And then the next picture he showed a man and a woman standing at a podium with a microphone, and his children standing down below him around the sides. So they're still there, they're still present, because that's who made who you are, but you don't let them be in charge. You're at the podium, you're at the speaker as an adult, and that's how you deal with stuff. And man, I'll tell you what, I seriously, that event changed my life. I think it has for me forever. Just by putting some words to the feelings that we have on why did that upset me so much? Why did my 10-year-old boy that just said that to me, why in the world did that tick me off like it did? Why did that send me through the roof? He's 10 years old. Like, what, why does that, why do I even take any, I don't want to say the 10-year-old doesn't have any validity, but it's just, why do I take so much clout in him saying, oh, when our kids, when they're younger, I hate you, At first when they said that, I used to really bother him. I'm like, man, he hates me. What are you talking about? I don't want to have that feeling. He doesn't hate you. He hates the feeling he's having right there. And you're the one that's doing it, so he hates you. But he doesn't actually hate you because kids are, once you even punish them and, whatever needs to happen, within a couple hours, they're going to come climb on your lap and snuggle with you like crazy. And so they didn't really mean what they said, but you can't let what they said trigger your 9-year-old. Because I've done that. I've done that with my kids. They're 9-year-old and they are 9-year-old. And my 9-year-old comes out, oh, no, you didn't, right? You don't talk to me that way, And that's not me as an adult. Why would I have that reaction with my 10-year-old or 9-year-old kid? That was my 9-year-old fighting.
Wow, what a powerful way to identify and define our reactions and really the maturity of our reactions and why those are impactful. So,
yeah,
man, that's some deep
really is
stuff.
And the internal external, here's what's awesome is Woody talked about. It's called D.R.I.V.E, and he talks about once you connect with somebody both internally and what drives that person, he says now you connected on a whole different level. Because like if you're in the middle of a sale and you're wanting to sell somebody this camera or sell somebody this car, and he said someone there, either the person that's doing the sales, it's his 10-year-old that's selling that car. There's something that's going on because he just said something that makes him mad. Or this guy has his 12-year-old out there that his dad says, oh, you're never good with money. Every time you get money, you spend it frivolously. You need to save money. So his 12-year-old that heard that wants this new car, that's going through his head. Oh, I can't make a decision. No, I probably shouldn't buy that. I don't deserve that. Well, you're an adult. You're making money. Whatever you're doing, you sure do deserve that. Now, maybe you'll make a decision that you don't want it right then, but you make the decision because it doesn't fit your goals, not because what your 12-year-old right now is saying. So he says, you think about if you could connect with somebody both internally and you could speak to each other's drive, meaning what is that makes you click? And he's got these cards that you use and you find out, what kind of person, if you're a director or you're a relator, if you're a validator, if you're an executive, you're an intellect, and then you pick what you are. And once you talk to somebody in about 2-3 minute conversation, you can find out if that guy's an intellect. And if he's an intellect, he could care less about validation. So saying, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if you're driving in that car, going down the road in your neighborhood? That person that's an intellect is like, I don't care about that. That's not why I want that car. But if you speak to that person about buying that car because it's economically great, it's the best car on the block, and you're going to get this and this and this with that car, now you're speaking to the intellect. But the validator, if you're talking to him, he's going to want to see himself in that car driving down the street, having everybody come and saying, oh my gosh, you must be doing so well because you just bought a new car. And so if you speak differently with somebody and how they react and what drives them, then it's a totally different conversation, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. So I'm excited to dig into this program of D.R.I.V.E and learning about it, because there's testimonials out there of people learning to be internal, learning what their kids' drive is, what makes them click, and then putting that child aside and making the adult present. There is testimonials of parents and children's relationships just tattered, completely horrible, bad, like they won't even speak to each other. The kids off doing whatever. The parents are acting like spoiled brats. And by them learning within 6 months, they have the best relationship they've ever had. We've got testimonials of kids, adult kids, fixing their relationships with their parents that they haven't spoke to in 20 years. We have people that have used it in sales. A realtor down in Utah went through this D.R.I.V.E system, and he became the #1 realtor in the state of Utah. #1 realtor within a year. His sales were increased by 400%. Just because he learned how to be internal, not worry about the external, not worry about the sales goals. Not that you shouldn't have the goals, but sell from inside and connect with somebody else and find out what their drive is and sell to their drive. Now, somebody might say, oh, you're manipulating people. No, I'm not manipulating. If Colter doesn't want to pick up today, he's not buying a pickup. It doesn't matter what I do to him. But if he's in the mode of buying a pickup, then if I connect with him on his drive, he's going to buy that pickup from me today because I just hit his drive. I just hit his 2 or 3 things that he needs to feel good and to feel good about what he's doing. Then that's awesome.
Well, and I think it's important to understand when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're trying to find out what it is that they actually want, you're trying to find out who they are, what it is, and I like the terminology drive because it's what drives them, it's what makes them click.
Yeah.
But it's your responsibility. If you have something to offer to the world, it's your responsibility to communicate that to the world that, hey, I have this available and you can buy it from me. If I didn't want to buy that truck, like you said, I'm not going to buy that truck.
Yeah.
But if you didn't do a good enough job connecting with me to say, hey, I have these 10 vehicles, and then you have to identify, like, what is it that I'm actually looking for? Am I looking for the sedan? Am I looking for the sports car, or am I looking for the truck?
Yeah.
And if you don't ask me questions, and if you can't relate with me on a personal level, there's no way you're ever going to find anything for me to buy from you.
Exactly.
And it doesn't necessarily even just need to be buying. It doesn't have to be transactional.
Yeah, it doesn't at all.
We're trying to create relationships, and I'm learning from you. Like just this conversation right now, like I'm getting jazzed about what it is that it means to be able to make greater and more meaningful connections with people, so that we can help them succeed in finding what it is that they actually want. Because, I mean, even personally, I sometimes have a difficult time communicating what it is I actually want out of life, right? I mean, whether it's out of life or it's, if I'm trying to buy something or if I want to know what I want to do this weekend, it takes a conversation often with my wife or my kids and like us being able to say, hey, what is it that I actually want out of this weekend? Is it going to be for me personally? Like, do I want to just go fly the airplane and be like, peace out, everybody?
Yeah.
Sometimes I need that.
Yeah, definitely.
But if it's, hey, you know what, we're going to go camping this weekend. We're going to spend, the weekend, cooking marshmallows and putting s'mores together and being able to enjoy a hike around camp.
Yeah.
It takes time and it takes energy. And so if we can just narrow that time frame of being able to understand how to communicate with each other and what it is that each other wants, oh man, the power in being able to develop a greater relationship with those around us seems just limitless.
Now let me blow your mind again.
Oh, great. Yeah, well, here we
Okay,
go.
so we're going to go even a little bit deeper, which is awesome. So once you find out what your own drive is, once you find out what makes you click, here's some awesome things that can keep you internal because you're not looking for external things to help solve what it is that makes you click. So say someone is a relator, and in a relator, there's different things that make them click. One of them is spirituality. One of them is self-awareness. One of them is, I'm trying to think what some of the other ones are. So once you learn what your drive is, what if there's a way you could help yourself before you even go out of the house to hit 2 or 3 of those things that's in your drive that makes you who you are, so you've already come off the day winning. So let me give you an example. So my wife loves to be alone. She does, and we go to vacations. We go different things, and she always wants to get her snorkel mask on and snorkel. And I'm like, why? You're all by yourself. Why do you want to go? I don't like to snorkel that much. I mean, I'll snorkel for a little bit. In fact, we were in Hawaii this last year, and we got worried because she was out there for like 4 hours snorkeling in the ocean. I'm like, what in the world? Where's she at? I mean, I could barely see her. And so I actually swam. I was like, hey, she's like, leave me alone. Like, I'm just fine. Anyways, but once I found out what her drive is, that's important to her. So here's what's awesome. Once I gave her the space to go out there and snorkel for a couple hours, it really didn't matter what we did the rest of the day because her drive was met. Mine wasn't being snorkeling and whatever that hits on her drive. So it could be as much as going for a walk in the morning. It could be journaling. Maybe that takes care of one of their drives. Maybe it's just some meditation in the morning for an hour. Maybe it's exercising. Maybe it's making a meal plan. Maybe it's planning out your day. Maybe that hits one of your drives. And if you get up every day and purposefully hit a couple of your 4 or 5 things in your drive, if you could hit them before you leave the house, then you will stay more internal because you've already hit those. So the likelihood of you going external goes down. So then think about it. So if you can come away and how healthy that is to take care of 4 or 5 things just for you, internally you're good. And now you go out and hit the world, you're already starting internal. Even no matter external, you'll probably still, your 12-year-old still gonna jump out and flip somebody off when they cut you off. I mean, no adult in the world would ever flip somebody off, right? But man, you're 18-year-old, you're 16-year-old, somebody cuts you off, there comes a finger. And that was not the adult, that was that 16-year-old. So if you can already solve a few of those inside and take care of a few of those things, when you get out there external, that 12-year-old's not coming out because you've already been taken care of. And then take it to another level. What if you could find out what your spouse's, what she needs every morning, or what your son and what your daughter needs every morning, or at least once a day. And if you could help them get those, now think about what connection you could have with them because they're already centered because they've taken care of a few of things for them that makes them feel important. And now the externalness, you can now connect with them even better.
Wow.
Seriously.
Wow, that's powerful.
It really is. It really is. I'm so excited to learn more about how this can help us out in relationships and families and business and every aspects of our life because I've been living a life way too much external, way too much. In fact, it took me a while to even find what even my internal was. And I feel bad for that. I mean, not that I haven't had good experiences, not that I haven't taken care of my wife and taken care of my kids, raised an amazing family. And not because of me, because my wife and my kids are just amazing. But I can't help but think back, if I would have lived a little more internal and been able to connect with them more with my adult instead of my 12-year-old, how much better I would be. The kids are awesome. They've done great despite me. But how much better I would be where I'm at right now. And that, I mean, I'm 50, so I've got 20 years now, or 30 years hopefully, to really get this in and just make it part of your life, you know?
Well, I'm going to be coming back to this episode just to learn more and more. I love it. So,
Yeah.
Jason, thanks for diving into the details. And you know what? Let's connect people with what this actually is.
Let's
we can share the resources with you, reach out to us, ping us in the comments, whatever that may be.
Yeah, they've got like 60 videos that you can watch now that you can learn how to do this.
Wow.
They've got the cards we can get you so you can figure out what drive you are, figure out what your kids' drive is. There's a process to figure that out. And then we've got step-by-step lessons on learning how to make that happen, to make it so your internal is internal. So it makes it part of you, which is awesome.
Awesome. Well, we'll cover some more in a future episode. But
Yes.
come back to this one, and let's figure out our drive, what's internal, what's external, and ultimately how we can better understand ourselves as well as the people around us that we're developing relationships with. And man, powerful stuff. Thanks for sharing.
You bet. Thanks for tuning in.